First of all, thank you, dear Chiara, for accepting our invitation. It would be a really great honor for me and the other enthusiastic students that we have here. Also, some of them are really professional in English literature, like Arya, we had it here, and the other students. Sometimes because of the internet connection and the things that happening in my country, as you know, they cannot join it, but we record it so everybody can see it again.
Okay.
And by the way, the floor is yours. Thank you so much.
Okay, so as for the presentation, I want to start off with 3 very brief clips. So I will exit the presentation a moment because I want really want to begin with something visual. The first clip I will show you is, wait, sorry, a moment, a silent clip, and it's from the first Nosferatu you will encounter in this presentation. One moment.
Yes.
Okay. Wait a minute. The title of the video will make you laugh a little bit, I know. This is. Sorry for the. Can you hear?
I think no, because you have a headphone.
Okay, I will take it out. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Can you hear the video?
For me, no. I didn't hear the sound, no.
Well, don't worry. As for the sound, it's not the main thing, so you need only the
Okay,
video.
yeah. But the video clip, it was okay. Also, I share all the links with the guys in the channel, so it's okay. They have it too.
Okay. Okay, so this was the first clip, as you noticed.
The atmosphere is a bit unsettling, I think, also because of the color palette that is very that is stark, especially the black. The black is a prominent color. And then I will show you another clip, which is different. And this clip is from Herzog Nosferatu from 1979. I know there is a problem with the audio, but I will show you the importance is not in the dialogues, but in the visual thing altogether. So I will show you this.
Yeah, it's okay.
Sorry, I will stop it in a minute. I sent Zara another clip, but as I said, it's only important to see the visuals. So the clip I sent to Zara, or this clip, it's no problem. There is no real difference. The difference is in what they make you see, but the main thing is how it is all represented, the colors, the scenery, and how the scene is
Yeah,
put all together.
adaptations.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So this was from Herzog's Nosferatu. As you can see, it's a bit more colorful, but there's a sort of an aura of melancholy in there, and a different kind of sadness, different from the first Nosferatu from Murnau. And then the last Nosferatu, that I think you probably know, because it came out in 2024. Robert Eggers' Nosferatu. I don't know if you're familiar with it. If you had the possibility to watch it the cinema, and yeah, so this is the scene. Sorry.
No, it's obvious. It just reminds me John classes.
Yeah. So this is the scene. I see if I can put the subtitles so at least you see a little bit of dialogue. Okay. And these are the three scenes that were mostly important for our presentation. So I will come back here to the presentation itself. Okay. Can you see it?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So what you just saw were three different visions of the same story, which is Nosferatu. This is a tale that is more than 100 years old and has been retold several times, but the most famous versions as of right now are Murnau's 1922 silent film, a true landmark of German Expressionism, and Werner Herzog's haunting 1979 representation. However, nowadays, with the new Robert Eggers film, we have a new horizon, a new one. Tonight, we are not just going to talk about this new movie, however, we are going to focus maybe more on Herzog because Zara told me about the poll, and if you want, I will focus more on Herzog. But for my presentation, the other two films are also important, so I will focus also on them, but briefly. The central question of the presentation is how does Herzog's representation and Murnau's representation and Eggers' representation, how do they how are they connected? And I will make a comparison between among the three, and I will deal with especially with Herzog's adaptation. So these are the three adaptations I have showed you. And I will begin to talk briefly about Murnau's Nosferatu. So this came out in a specific time in Germany. The country was was reeling from the traumas of World War I and the Spanish flu pandemic. You can feel this in this movie. It's not just a story about a vampire. It's a chilling and scary allegory for pestilence, for plague, a silent and sinister evil spreading across the country. The vampire is shown as a monstrous rat-like figure. He's not an aristocrat like the original novel written by Bram Stoker. He brings in this film coffins and dirt and rats with him, literally carrying a sort of plague to the city of Wisborg. And the horror comes from this sense of a creeping decay, of a creeping inescapable decay that is this plague that Nosferatu takes with him. So this is a prime example of German expressionism. The style is about highly theatrical, distorted shadows, psychological state of mind of the characters. So the aim is to represent the feeling of terror, of decay, of illness that these creatures spreads around the country of Wisborg, the city of Wisborg. And his long skeletal fingers reaching out. I don't know if you ever seen the Murnau's Nosferatu, but there is a scene where Orlok's shadow climbs the stairs, his long skeletal fingers reaching out. It's a representation of the evil lurking. And is also shot on location, this film, contrasting the stylized audio sets, which you couldn't hear, but there were music, with real-world landscapes to create a dreamlike, disorienting atmosphere. As for the characters, Max Schreck is the actor who interpreted Count Orlok in this film. He's a creature of pure, unadulterated evil, a far cry from the charming vampires we know today, like, for example, I don't know, Twilight. I think you're familiar with Twilight, where the vampires are fashionable, they are living everyday life as normal teenagers and so on. And then we have the heroine here, which is Helen. It's a figure of pure sacrifice. She's the only one who can stop him, and she gives her life for this, embodying a mythological figure, a sense of triumphing over evil, but a devastating cost.
True.
We go to Herzog's Nosferatu.
Yeah, exactly.
So this is the main focus of the presentation, and now we are entering his world. Herzog's film is not a simple remake of Nosferatu. It's a reinterpretation, a whole reinterpretation, a completely different take on the myth of Dracula. While Murnau's film was about a plague, Herzog's film is about existential loneliness and the burden of immortality that Orlok has to take on himself. The most significant change in this film is the character of the Count Orlok, played by Klaus Kinski. Unlike Max Schreck in the previous film, Kinski's Dracula, Kinski's Count Orlok is a tragic, pitiful figure. He's not a monster because he wants to be. He's a monster because he is cursed with eternal life. He expresses a deep weariness with his existence. And in one scene of the film, he says, "The absence of love is the most awful pain." So there is a romantic tragedy in there. This single line completely transforms the character from a symbol of evil into a symbol of profound sadness and depression. We feel pity for him, and that's the whole point of Herzog's Nosferatu. Also, Herzog uses a completely different visual palette for his film. While Murnau used more black and white, or orange and white, or orange and black, or yellow and black to create shadows, distorted shadows, Herzog uses lush, almost painterly color, as if it was a painting. He shoots in a beautiful real-world locations, but he infuses them with a sense of decay. There is a sense of decay and melancholy in there. I don't know if you could feel it when watching the second clip. And it also places a huge emphasis on music. I'm sorry for the music and sound to create a dreamlike, almost hypnotic atmosphere. I hope you can hear it when you can see the clips. So instead of focusing on pure terror, Herzog focuses on a deep romantic sense of dread. So the romantic aspect. There is a scene also in the movie, if you are able to watch it, where there's a swarm of rats. So similar to Murnau's film, but in this case, it isn't about the horror of the plague. It's about the overwhelming, suffocating presence of despair. It's more the dread and the depression. It's the main focus of this film. This being Count Orlok is forever alone, and the bleak reality of a world that is losing its soul, it's the main focus. Also, I wanted to focus on the ending of this film because I think it's extremely fundamental, and it's, I think, the most important element that differentiates this film from the other two interpretations of Bram Stoker's Dracula. So it's particularly cynical and bleak, and it completely subverts the heroic sacrifice that Ellen made in the first film. She sacrifices herself, however, because it is the only way to defeat Count Orlok. However, in the end, when her husband, Jonathan Archer, arrives, who was beaten earlier in the film, shows himself as a vampire. So even though Count Orlok has died, Jonathan Archer has replaced him. So the curse continues. So there is a perpetual cycle of evil. So Jonathan, the hero of the story, doesn't survive. He becomes the very thing he fought against, Count Orlok, inheriting the loneliness and the curse of eternal life, and eternal dread that defined the Count previously. It's a brilliant and haunting final note that perfectly fits Herzog's bleak existential vision of the world that he wanted to represent in this Nosferatu. Okay. And finally, we have Egger's Nosferatu. So this film significantly expands on the psychic link between Ellen Hutter and Count Orlok. It's a modern chapter to this century-long conversation, and it transforms this psychic bond from a simple plot device into the film's central thematic core. This connection between Count Orlok and Ellen reframes Ellen's character and elevates the horror from a physical threat to a deeply psychological threat. Eggers establishes this bond early in the film in a flashback. There is a flashback in the film where a young Ellen is seen praying for a guardian angel and a friend in the dark because she's alone. This prayer, made with a child's innocent desperation, unwittingly opens a spiritual door and is answered by Count Orlok. This act links the two characters before they even meet, suggesting a shared destiny rooted in Ellen's own subconscious desire for a kind of dark protection from the suffocating patriarchal world she inhabits. The psychic bond is not just a vague feeling. It's physically and psychologically tormenting for Ellen. Throughout the entire film, she experiences a series of terrifying lucid visions. The camera often shows us this from her perspective, forcing us to share in her nightmares, She sees herself floating through fog-drenched landscapes, witnesses Orlok's ship arriving, feels his presence even when he's miles and miles and miles away. These visions aren't just a foreshadowing of what is about to happen. They are a direct line of communication between the two, between predator, Count Orlok, and prey, Ellen. They also have a real-world impact, these communications, causing Ellen to have seizures, violent seizures and hallucinations that alienate her from her husband and the rest of the society, making her feel increasingly alone and misunderstood. And this shared link between them, it's more complex and perverse than in previous versions. Orlok is not simply hunting Ellen, is drawn to her as the answer to his own profound loneliness. He sees her as a dark mirror of himself, an individual who, like him, is trapped and yearns for a kind of escape. For Ellen, the terror is mixed with a strange, almost hypnotic pull. This film suggests that she finds a morbid kind of power in this connection, a knowledge and agency that no one else in her world possesses. Her final act of sacrifice, it's about reclaiming her body and soul from a link that had consumed her completely, almost completely. She uses her body, which was previously a source of shame and fragility, as the ultimate weapon against the monster who desired it. So in this way, the psychic connection transforms the narrative. It turns the vampire from a generic evil into a specific personal terror. Horror is no longer just about a monster. It's about a monster who knows you, who has been invited in and was a piece of your soul. This vampire was interpreted by, I don't know if you know him, Bill Skarsgård. I think you have seen some of his films, maybe It. I don't know if you remember the clown, he interpreted It. And he has a deeply unsettling, non-human physicality in this film. His movements are skeletal, jarring, as if his body is held together by little more than a powerful will. So that it's decaying, that it's going to crumble in pieces. It's a walking cadaver. This makes him terrifying because of his unnatural, almost arachnid-like movements. This physicality is enhanced by the extensive prosthetics that you have seen in the scene I've shown you, and also makeup, which render him a rotting corpse, a living embodiment of the plague he carries, which is similar to the plague that Count Orlok from Now film did. And unfortunately, you couldn't hear his voice, but I will tell you about this voice, because if you can see the clip for yourself, you can hear that it's a deep, raspy whisper that sounds like it's coming from an ancient tomb, like it's an omen, a voice of exhaustion and sinister anger. And this is a creature also of filth and disease, perpetually surrounded by a sense of decay. So the aesthetics of Eggers is a cornerstone for the film's identity, establishing a unique visual language that pays homage to the first film, Murnau, while also feeling distinctly modern and unflinching. So there is an unflinching gaze. The film was shot on a 35mm film, which gives the movie a rich textural quality. The use of fixed lens, which avoids the handheld camera style of many modern horror films, create a sense of detachment. And there is natural light sources like candles, moonlight, and gas lamps. You can sense a meticulous historical accuracy in there, especially with the costumes and the production design that made a very good work. This unflinching dedication to authenticity grounds the horror in a reality that makes the supernatural elements even more terrifying when they finally appear. Is an approach of total immersion that is one of Eggers' most famous features. Is extremely historically accurate in his films. You can see also this in other films directed by him, like The Northman and The Witch. So finally, the ending is a mixture of triumph and trauma. As I said, a traumatic victory, as I have written in this presentation. So this ending directly mirrors Murnau's ending. Ellen realizes that her unique psychic connection to Orlok makes her the only person who can truly defeat the Count, and she decides to use this bond against him, inviting him willingly into her room to feed on her. And this feeding on her, however, I think you can see it for yourself, because that scene is extremely crude and violent, but it's also extremely erotic. There's a sense of eroticism in there, and also this way of demonstrating Ellen's sacrifice is how can I say it? How can I express it? A sort of liberation from patriarchal norms for Ellen, but at the same time is a traumatic victory, because she, in the end, she loses her life for this. But in this way, she saves the whole city of Wisberg, her husband, and the other people who have not been touched by Count Orlok. And in conclusion, we have seen the chilling allegory for a plague, which is Murnau's 1922 Nosferatu, a silent masterpiece of psychological horror. Then we have seen Herzog's 1979 Nosferatu the Vampire, which is a romantic tragedy about loneliness and a tale of existential dread and a heavy burden of immortality. And finally, with Robert Eggers' 2024 Nosferatu, we have dealt with the female trauma of Ellen and the visceral grounded horror of Eggers' films. Each of these films, though linked by a common plot, is a product of its time and its director's distinct artistic vision. They prove that a great story, it's a foundation upon which artists can build their own fears, their own obsessions, and their own unique perspectives. Okay, so this is the end of the presentation. And thank you all for listening. I'd like now to open the floor to any questions you want me to answer. What do you think about the connections we drew? What do you think about the various interpretations of Nosferatu? And what was the film, if you have seen it, or the excerpt I have shown you that stuck out for you? And well, I'm excited to hear your thoughts about it. So thank you very much for having me. And I hope this presentation was extremely well.
Thank you so much, dear Kira. It was really perfect. Yes, if anybody has a question, wants to share your idea about what we talk, what you see, you can turn on your mic. It's okay. Also, Reza here in a message, just when you talk about the Orlok voices, talk about he has a very crooked source of voice, very weird accent, and Mariam says he breathes heavily. Also, Mariam says it was amazing. Thank you. To be honest, yeah, it was really different aspects that we can see in each adaptation. Mostly it's catch my eyes the second one and the third one. That's as you mentioned it, in the third one we can see the erotic aspect of the movie. Also, grazie
Thank
mille.
you.
Yeah. In the third movie, we can see the woman has a really strong feeling. It's like a victory, but by the way, it's really traumatic one. But in the second, exactly the Dracula, it's gonna makes me feeling in some ways. It's totally different.
Yeah, exactly, because Herzog's main focus, as I said, is on the loneliness, the fact that this vampire has to live and live on and live on with the fact that he's a monster, with the fact that it cannot die unless until
Yeah.
this the tragic ending we have in Herzog's. Well, in all three of these films, we have a tragic ending for him, fortunately. But yeah, it stuck out to me the fact that there is a perpetual cycle of evil, that in the end evil doesn't die, because
Yeah.
Jonathan Harker takes the evil with himself. And honestly, I have to say that the focus was maybe a little too much on Eggers. I'm sorry, but
No, it's okay.
it's the fact that this new film is, I don't know, it's one of the most beautiful and darkest and the most erotic, deepest and scariest representations I've yet seen since Murnau. And I extremely liked the cinematography that Eggers used, and also I like the fact that he loves to be historically accurate, but also that he doesn't like to go to represent histories, novels, or anything like that that isn't after the 19th century, actually, because it doesn't like the feeling of the smartphones, the modern environment that we see in modern horrors with jump scares everywhere, or modern horrors with deep themes like, I don't know, loss, grief, anything like that. So
exactly, the female character are really different. Exactly, the eager one has an aggressive, strong woman, like who wants to save the world. The second one, it's like eliminate a factor of the movie, something like that. It didn't have a really good sense of humor somehow in the second one, a little bit, but I really like the newest one, as you mentioning. It was really, really masterpiece.
Yeah, I also wanted to. Oh, yeah. Tell me.
Reza, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I guess I interrupted you. Would you like to finish your sentence before I ask my question?
Sorry?
Would you like to finish your sentence before I ask my question? Because
No, ask
I
your
think I
question.
interrupted
Don't
you.
worry. Ask your
All
question.
right. So about the third movie, I wonder if you think anything of the role of sexuality or femininity in the movie. I noticed at one of the scenes, the character Ellen, she's being delirious, if I'm not mistaken, and she's having hallucinations, and she tells her husband, I can't remember his name.
Utter, I think, in this case.
Yeah. She tells him that you can never please me like he does. Like
I remember
Thomas,
that scene,
yeah. And again, there was also another scene at the very beginning of the movie where we see her having a sort of, I would say, sexual relief when she's in presence of Olok, and also by the end. And there is a message here that I can't really decipher. I wanted to see what you think of it. What was the role of it?
So I do think that there is a rampant sense of eroticism in there. There is a rampant sense of eroticism, but also there is also a sense of liberation, even though it's a scary liberation, because it's through a vampire, in this case, Count Orlok. It's the fact that, I don't know if you have noticed it in the film, I think you have mentioned it, the fact that she has to be always constrained in bed with the corset. I don't know if you have seen the scene where she has the corset that was used at the time to calm the hysterical attitudes. I don't know. Yeah. This bond, the psychic bond between Helen and Orlok works as a way of liberating her, even though in the end it's a liberation that, yes, saves the city of Wisburg and liberates Ellen from the constraints of the patriarchal society that is the patriarchal society of Wisburg, but represented by her husband, her husband's friend, and it ends with death, but is a sort of liberation. And the first scene, I think that it's more like a sort of asking for help, because her husband is always out, is always traveling because of his work, and she has always lived with bad dreams, and has always had that psychic energy that stuck out all her whole life. I don't know, that also a little bit ruined their life in some cases, but in the end it's a useful help and a useful tool for helping the city and all the people that surrounded her.
Would you say that she was actually willing by the end to accept Orlok to her chamber as a means of liberating herself, as you mentioned, of the patriarchal society?
Also, yes, not only to liberate the city, but also to liberate herself in a way, I think, to free herself.
True.
Yeah, that's it. Thank you so much. I think it should be a really good aspect that you really pointed out. What about the others? Do you want to add something? Do you have any questions? No. Tell me, Kiara.
No, I think I heard someone, but no. I was about to tell about the remarks I read in the chat that Reza said he has a very crooked sort of voice, a very weird accent, and breathed heavily. Yeah, I wanted to underline the fact that we are talking about and Count Orlok that is the real definition of a living corpse. So yeah, he is exhausted by eternal life, and this is demonstrated through is the fact that he breathes heavily, like people that are towards the end of their life usually do. And sorry, one moment, because my computer is about to
No, it's okay, don't worry.
And there is also this very weird accent is because of its the fact that it comes from Romania. It's he is from Transylvania, which is in Romania, and I think they wanted to make it similar to an accent of a Romanian speaking English, but maybe they stumbled a bit. But I don't know. But yeah.
Yeah, it could be a good interpretation. Why not?
Okay. Sorry, I have to search for my charger for a moment, so I'll.
Yeah, it's okay. Also, by the way, I think the guys didn't have any other questions.
Sorry, Zara. Hi.
Yes. Hi.
I have a question for Chiara.
Gemma.
Yes, it's me. Hi, it's been a minute.
Hi, how's it going?
So, Chiara, I'm asking you, since you pointed out the exotic part, I was wondering, like, the fact that maybe most of the time Dracula or vampire movies are set in Romania was maybe because they wanted to point out the fact that they were afraid of, like, foreign people, like xenophobia. Would that be implied in general, or maybe it's just a simple stylistic choice in your opinion?
I think it is more of a stylistic choice, but also a folkloristic one, because Romania is famous for this legend. And about endemic populations, I would like to underline that there is also a very, very good representation in Robert Eggers' film of Rom and Sinti people. That Thomas Utter encounters when he's traveling to reach Count Orlok, and with their folkloristic characteristics like the costumes, the traditions, and everything, they did a wonderful work regarding this. And so I don't know if maybe there is a racism to it a bit, like the I don't know, the prejudice of how can I say it, the prejudice that Thomas Utter has of these people. And but yeah, there is no other, I don't think there is another racist remark to make of this film, because apart from Thomas Utter's reaction to these people, there is no other
Okay,
element.
thank you.
Okay.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay. If there are other questions or anything like that, you can ask me. If not, I hope you like the presentation, and I hope that I can see you another time, maybe talking about another film that you like. I don't know.
Yeah, for sure. It would be our honor. Yeah, exactly. Mariam said, yes, please. Yeah, it was fantastic. And thank you so much for giving your time to all of us. Thank you for other students. Also, my dear friend Gemma, thank you for coming and participate this presentation. And it was a really nice topic.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed a lot, and have a good night.
Thank you, you too.
Thank you again, Chiara. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Have a good time.